with that down, let's get on to this, shall we? You know, one of the films that I'm actually really looking forward to is Naked Gun. Like, once they announced Liam Neeson was going to be playing the role of Frank Drebin, I'm like, okay, there's no such thing as perfect casting, but that's perfect casting. That's the perfect guy to do this. And then they showed us a preview for it at CinemaCon. I laughed my ass off, and I thought it looked pretty good. Now, again, no film has been able to do that 80s and 90s spoof style comedy well in like 25 years, but they might have a shot at it. Well,
you didn't like Meet the Spartans?
What? Oh, good.
That was just
That
unwatchable.
I mean, that Meet the Spartans is kind of like the poster child of how that whole genre went to crap. But now we got Naked Gun. Is it going to be good? Well, all film is subjective. And even within film itself, nothing about film is as subjective as comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Comedian tells a joke, half the people laugh their asses off, half the other people want to get up and leave because it's so stupid. It's hard. But the first reactions are now coming out, including from a couple of buddies of ours. And this is coming from the great site over at Joe Blow. That's listing the first reactions. Yes, the Naked Gun is as hilarious as we hoped. They started off by giving their own film critic, Jimmy O, who, if you guys have been watching this for a long time, you remember Jimmy O used to come on Movie Talk like every couple of weeks. We even had him on AMC Heroes once or twice. Anyway, they write, first, let's start with our own Jimmy O, who is from Joe Blow, who caught the Naked Gun screening and had, in part, this to say in his reaction. Jimmy O said this about Naked Gun. Holy hell, The Naked Gun is the funniest flick I've seen for a while. Liam Neeson is so freaking perfect as Frank Drebin Jr., and the comedic chemistry he shares with Pamela Anderson is absolutely wonderful. Ms. Anderson is an exceptionally funny comedic actress. One sequence in particular had me in tears laughing so hard. You can see part of it in the trailer. I'm going to guess I know which part they're talking about. But the compact 85-minute runtime makes this an enjoyable watch from start to finish. It is consistently funny. But then others backed it up. Casey Steffen wrote, The Naked Gun is so deliciously stupid, and I mean that in the highest compliment. Very true to the spirit of the Leslie Neeson movies I grew up loving. Jeffrey Vega wrote, I saw Naked Gun, and I can now say they are making them like they used to. There are so many great jokes in this, and you can tell the filmmakers had so much fun making an actual comedy movie. Then we get one from Jim Hemphill, who wrote, I bow to no man in my adoration of the original Naked Gun, so I'm glad to report that the new one is fantastic. If there was any justice in the world, Liam Neeson would get an Oscar. Smart and hilarious from beginning to end. Now, I've read a number of others, and they're all in the same vein. They all said they laughed their asses off. Everybody said they thought it was hilarious. Comedy and horror, I've said this for a long time, and I still believe it. Comedy and horror are kind of unique in the broad landscape of film, in the sense that if you're making like a good thriller, right? You got to have some good intensity, but you also have to have good dialogue. You want to set up a nice narrative. And if you really blow it on one or two of those, you could sink an otherwise good movie. But comedy and horror are different. If you make a comedy, you can get almost everything wrong. Almost everything wrong. If you make the audience laugh, that's all that matters. At the end of the day, that's all the audience is going to remember when they walk out. A good horror movie, yeah, you get great horror movies that do everything well. But if you give the audience the creeps and the heebie-jeebies and big scares and whatever, you can do almost everything else wrong in a comedy or in a horror movie, and people will still walk out with a good time. And Rob, it's sounding to me like, in the absence of anything else, none of the reactions I've read, Rob, are talking about the plot. None of the reactions that I've read are talking about the narrative or the dialogue or whatever. They're all just saying one thing and one thing only. This movie's hilarious. And you know what? Would I like a 40-Year-Old Virgin, which is my all-time favorite comedy, which has a great story, wonderful characters, really good dialogue, and is incredibly funny? Sure. But not all of them are going to be that. I just wanted Naked Gun as a spoof. Just make me laugh. And it sounds like it's heading in that direction. I don't know, Rob, you heard some of the reactions here. What are you taking away from it?
Look, I'm pulling for this movie. You know, and when we saw that trailer at CinemaCon, I mean, people were laughing out loud. It was a great response. And I love comedy as a genre, but you know, comedy really only works when people are willing to laugh at themselves. And our culture has not been so good at that lately. So maybe this is the beginning of a new era, John. A dawn. If this comedy is great and it's as bawdy and it's as risque as the original Zaz Brothers movies were, or Zucker Abrams, the team, we could really have something here. And if this movie makes money, I'd love to see more comedies come back to theaters. I miss comedies in theaters. You know, that was the best era. The 40-Year-Old Virgin, The Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I love
Wedding Crashers.
I Love You, Man. Wedding Crashers. I mean, that was like the last era of really good, consistent comedy.
Because you had like the Apatow movies at the same time. You had all the team up movies like
you had the
like
Pharaoh movies, the Apatow
the
movies.
Superbad, you know, that whole thing. I mean,
Right.
I mean,
Anchorman, and those people
there was
branched
a
off.
really good comedy recently. I'm trying to remember. I remember coming out of a comedy.
Well, you liked Joyride.
I love
Joyride.
Joyride and Bottoms.
You know what? Bottoms is great too. But you know why? Because both Joyride and Bottoms, they were very reminiscent of that Will Ferrell, Seth Rogen, Steve Carell, Judd Apatow era of comedy.
Yeah,
Reminded me a lot of that.
I couldn't believe how filthy Joyride was.
Oh my
you
God,
know,
it was so filthy.
From the opening scene when the two little girls meet as best friends in the playground, and that movie didn't do that well.
Yeah.
I loved it.
No, that is seriously that Joyride is going to go right up there, like my poster child film for whenever people say, "Why don't they make more original movies?" My poster child has always been not Goodfellas, The Nice Guys.
Oh
with,
yeah,
Ryan Gosling and
Russell Crowe.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Directed by Shane Black.
Written and directed by Shane Black.
And like they made an amazing, fantastic, entertaining, original film, and none of y'all went to go see it. Joyride is going to join that movie for me because that movie was everything you want in a comedy, and people just didn't go see it. And that's why it always frustrates me when you hear people, why doesn't Hollywood make more original films? Oh, they do. They make lots of them. You just don't go see them. Anyway,
God, that movie was so. I want to watch it again now.
I want to see it again too. Ann and I have watched it ever since it came out. We watch it about every 3 months. We'll sit down and watch it. We even had friends over for barbecue maybe about 2 months ago, and I can't remember. We were talking about the husband was like, "Hey, so what's a good funny movie lately?" And I said, "Oh, we never heard of it." And we're like, after dinner, this is what we're doing. And we sat down, we put on Joyride, and we just watched it.
Did they love it?
Oh, they loved it. They absolutely loved it. It was
it's
so good. But anyway, we are now talking about The Naked Gun. So here's a question, Rob, I have for you. And I'm not sure that the answer to this question is yes. Because, you know, we often talked about in years past, like if the next comic book movie, or sorry, not comic book, but if the next video game movie comes out and is a huge smash hit, could that invigorate more comedy and or more video game movies? And like, yes. Let me ask you the question. If Naked Gun is a hit, and remember, this movie for its budget does not need to make $500 million.
No.
But let's say it pulls in 300 million, whatever. Will that reignite interest in the studios to start making the spoof comedies again? And my thought right now is I think even if this movie is a hit, I don't know that it will. I don't know. What do you think?
Look, the problem with the spoof comedy genre is that you need movies that they can spoof. And there's not a lot of maybe, you know, not even Craig Mazin made superhero comedy spoofs. I think that I would rather see the comedy genre itself come back, not the spoof genre.
Right.
But real comedies. And I think we've gone through, you know, we went through a period of time where everybody was so sensitive, and you heard comedians talk about the fact that they were scared to go to colleges because of the response that they were getting, people getting really offended. I think our civilization is getting to the point where it's so wacky out there now. It's so bizarre, you never know, just in general, that it's about time we all started laughing at ourselves, because I think our civilization itself is what should be parodied. So instead of having movies let's just go back and do what comedy does, which is have a lens that reflects back on us to show us, the folly and the absurdity of life. That's where comedy comes from. And the thing about comedy is great comedy is truthful because we all recognize the truth in it. But we all used to be able to laugh at ourselves. And while those truths might be uncomfortable, we all realized that they were true. And we could smile and we could laugh at one another. And I think that by laughing at yourself, you can respect one another more because it's the great equalizer.
Yeah. The problem though was I had a number of friends who were comedians, and the problem kind of became, I remember talking to Mark Ellis once, who is
who's very talented,
who is an
very talented,
incredibly
comedian.
great stand-up comedian
And a great writer.
Yeah, I mean, he's a wonderful film pundit online, but make no mistake, that's his side gig. He is a truly gifted stand-up comedian.
Yes.
And I remember in talking once, he says, the problem becomes, like most things, we lose good things because of a few people who do it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And he said, the difference, I'm paraphrasing a bit here because this conversation was years ago, but he said, the difference is you literally did have comedians out there who thought it was funny literally to laugh at people. He said, but you take a comedian like Daniel Tosh, like from Tosh.0, right?
Right. Yeah.
Daniel Tosh is a master of making fun of everybody, but doing it in such a way that it always feels like we're all laughing at ourselves together. You know what I mean? Some comedians do not have that ability and they just come across as mean-spirited.
Yeah.
Whereas a guy like Bill Burr. Bill Burr has a way of sounding like he's mean-spirited, but you could totally tell it's always done in the spirit of let's all laugh together. And I think as more and more comedians tune themselves into that, who starred in Always Be My Maybe with Randall Park?
Yeah, that was
She's the comedian. I'm freezing on her name now.
Yeah.
But she's great at that. Like
Ali Wong.
Ali Wong.
Ali Wong.
Oh,
Ali Wong will start her sets. I watched her latest commit, right? She'll start her sets by laughing at Asian stereotypes, right? She'll start there. So she lays this foundation of making fun of herself, her own culture, all stuff like that. And then as she then starts spreading out, so you start realizing she's poking fun at everybody else. But because she laid that foundation first in her routine that, hey, I'm laughing at me, I'm laughing at my culture, I'm going to laugh at your culture. Like it does it right. And when comedies can do that, I think that's why we're starting to see some of the edgier comedy come back. Because I think more and more movie comedy writers, television comedy writers, and stand-up comedians are starting to adapt to that and are starting to be able to develop that skill.
And the comedies that we were talking about, the Super Bads, the I Love You Mans, there was an inherent affection. Like the whole thing in I Love You Man about loving Rush.
Oh,
they bonded on loving
slapping
Rush.
the bass.
Slapping the bass. And all that stuff was so funny. I mean, and it was underneath it wasn't mean-spirited. I mean, look, the only movie I've ever made in my life that I directed was a comedy about basically myself, and it was all us making fun of ourselves.
With Free Enterprise.
Yeah, and I was making fun of us, but in an affectionate way.
And listen, and Naked Gun has always been a franchise that has never pulled punches.
No.
And the trailer kind of feels like maybe it follows in those footsteps. So we'll see. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about the early first reactions to Naked Gun? I mean, it's exactly what I wanted to hear. Just funny. Just make me laugh, man.
Yeah.
If it can do that, I'm going to be sold. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.